Hello, I'm Callie Yonta, and welcome to this episode of Minnesota Marriage Minute, where we look at issues related to the proposed Marriage Protection Amendment. We've talked about consequences to redefining marriage for pastors, religious groups, small business owners, and people of faith. We've looked at the experience of other states and other countries. Now let's look more closely at the consequences to children, the most vulnerable in society. The fundamental public purpose of marriage is to provide the ideal environment for children to be raised by the people who brought them into the world, their parents. The drive to redefine marriage to accommodate the political demands of same-sex couples separates the interests of children from the purpose of marriage. Marriage is then transformed from a child-centered institution to one that exists only to satisfy the demands of adults. When marriage is redefined, experience shows that it loses its historic meaning and fewer people get married. In some European countries, like the Netherlands, there has been a dramatic spike in out-of-wedlock births when marriage was redefined, and that is profoundly bad for children. The overwhelming body of scientific evidence establishes that children raised by their married parents fare far better than those raised outside of marriage. They are healthier, wealthier, better educated, and more emotionally secure. We have thousands of years of experience of child raising within a traditional marriage culture, but only a few years with the same-sex marriage experiment. Recent major studies suggest that children raised by a same-sex parent suffer from many significant negative outcomes compared with those raised by their traditional married parents. In fact, they fared worse on 25 of 40 outcomes that were measured, including those having to do with health, safety, employment, and educational attainment. Moreover, these children did not fare better than kids raised in an intact traditional family on a single measurement. We know from Massachusetts, other states, and Canada that young children will be taught about gay marriage in public schools at an early age, sometimes even before kindergarten, and their parents will not be able to protect them from this instruction by opting them out of those lessons. We know that redefining marriage puts children on a slippery slope where they are presented with confusing, even ridiculous notions like men can be wives and women can be husbands. They're told by teachers that their very gender is up for debate and that they should decide for themselves if they are a boy or a girl, or maybe some other gender altogether. We know also from places like California that when same-sex marriage is created, children are sometimes forced to participate in political exercises to support it. Children in kindergarten in one school district who were not even old enough to sign their own name were nonetheless forced to complete pledge cards, promising to support gay students. And how about this for a field trip? Kindergartners in another school district were taken to San Francisco City Hall to witness a lesbian wedding. The author of the book, Who's in a Family, written for first graders, said, "The whole purpose of the book was to get the subject out into the minds and the awareness of children before they are old enough to have been convinced there's another way of looking at life." Perhaps most troubling of all, children lose the protection of their parents to decide for their kids the time and the manner when a sensitive, controversial subject like gay marriage will be introduced to them. The government takes the issue out of the hands of parents and often forces it on kids as part of the political agenda driven by activists. Now, the only way to make sure that gay marriage is not forced on young children is to make sure that our definition of marriage is contained in our state constitution, where it will be safe from meddling by political advocates, activist judges, or ambitious politicians. That is what voting yes on the Marriage Protection Amendment will do. To learn more about the Marriage Protection Amendment, please go to minnesotaformarriage.com. I'm Callie Yonta. Thank you for watching.